Dirty world out there.
Yes, very dirty.
So, but he taught you the yoga, or it's more of a movement based system.
Yes.
But you do a lot of traditional yoga moves as well, right?
Not exactly. My mother taught me, she took me to that yoga classes, and I didn't like much because the postures, the suffering, the flexibility was just there for me to understand my discomfort, but it doesn't give me too much a good experience. So I didn't like it and stopped.
Didn't give you a good experience. How so?
Because after the experience with Orlando, I felt like everything else was not good because yoga is a great practice. Don't misunderstand me. But for me, I expect something more dynamic. I expect something more like actually teach me how to apply breathing to functioning, not exactly how to breathe to become more flexible or how to breathe to resist the spiritual pain. Yoga put you in a position and expect you to work with your mind. The biogymnastica put you in a situation where you have to jump. So how is the proper breathing for you to jump? How is the proper breathing for you to relax? How is the proper breathing for you to fight? How is proper breathing for you to swim, to surf? In every in every sport, we have always different aspects of breathing. You see boxers, choo, 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 choo. You see tennis players, toe, 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 because they excel when they breathe. So they have different ways to breathe. I develop in a very high level breathings for fighting and for surfing, which are things I love to do. But if I was a soccer player, I will have a different approach for breathing. If I was gymnastics, whatever activity you have, is going to be always a breathing who fits properly.
Did other members of the family adopt these practices with you?
No, not really.
But that seems like it would make sense if they did that. If I was looking at the guy who represented the family, who was the best fighter in the family, I would assume that other people would follow whatever he's doing.
Yes, supposed to be, but sometimes this either ego or something. My son Kron, he does very well. He gets advantage of knowing how to breathe properly, and he's showing how comfortable he is when he's doing things. But other members of the family, they don't put too much attention on breathing, and it's bad for them, you know, what I can say.
It's just strange to me because people respect you so highly and respect your accomplishments in jiu-jitsu so highly. I would imagine that they would want to emulate all the aspects of a physical culture that got you to where you became.
Yes, but my way to see jiu-jitsu is always been very clear to me, but always demand from me because, like I said, I was not sure about anything. What's the enemy? What's the size? So it requires from me a larger toolboxes for a warrior. Not only the physicality, not only the training, the courage and the ability to do it, but also how to control my emotions, how to be visualizing what I want, all the aspects of the rational visualization and mindset. And also my spiritual side, because if you're going to fight you don't know who, you have to learn how to not fear death. You have to learn how to have hope. You have to learn how to be patient, because different than passivity, patience is a quality. The lion stays behind the bush waiting for the zebra to get close, patiently waiting for the kill. He's not passive, he's just patient. So for a guy who's going to fight somebody with no weight division, no time limits, no rules, patience, hope, faith, visualization, those are very important elements for a spiritual warrior, for a warrior who's in a situation has to improvise, different than same way division, 5 minutes rounds, the rules are there, the set. So it's a completely different element of spirituality in terms of acceptance, in terms of being engaged in something. You can die. I was expecting the best, but I was accepting the fact I could die trying. And quitting for me was not an option. So my life was being very much mode under that kind of pressure, which I have to make comfortable. So that situation put me facing my monsters in a very early age. And somehow I have to deal with the monsters, from breathing, from accepting death, from be able to perform under pressure and things like that. And I have to, pick sometimes a cold bath, sometimes going in a heavy ocean, sometimes just to prove myself I could deal with nature and I could flow with in a very ugly scenarios and perform well, because emotionally I was in control, spiritually I was able to give my acceptance in my spirituality.
Where did you learn techniques for visualization?
I think visualization is part of the process, even before I know what it is, because I always been very competitive, because I always been very, very focused on what I want. That focus, that idea of winning, competing, what I have to... So always keep me in a sense where the visualization put me in a sense I could win a fight in 10 seconds, I could win a fight in 1 minute, I could have a hard fight and win by points, I couldn't get a lose, I couldn't get a knockout. So I visualize everything, and even though I could get punched in the face and pass and get knocked down, I still visualizing I was able to survive in the guard and handle the storm and able to get smart again and win the fight. So all the process, a hard fight, a easy fight, an impossible fight, and even death is part of a good visualization, because you have all the scenarios in your mind, you review all them, you kind of pretty much comfortable with all the scenarios, even death.
So when it's fascinating to me that when you started, there really was no other than your father's fights and Carlson Gracie and some other people who had fights before you.
Yes.
There was no history of it the way there is today. So it was really like the people that don't know, they think of MMA, they think of the UFC, and they think it's always been like this. And maybe they'll go back to the first UFCs. They don't really understand that for decades, you and your family were having these no rules fights, and they were having them in front of large audiences, and were facing all kinds of different styles, and there was no time limit. And it's a completely different experience.
Yes, completely different. Because the fight has a different purpose. It was not about the event, it's not about the entertainment, it's not about the money. It was about representing, was a confrontation of styles, or not exactly. People don't prepare themselves in all aspects of fighting. People represent karate or judo or boxing or wrestling. So the idea of putting jiu-jitsu in the number one spot was the commitment we have. Is if you put in the confrontation, we believe in jiu-jitsu 200%. So that idea was the focus point for the whole preparation and the whole concept of making strategies. And because we're not expecting fighting another jiu-jitsu fighter. We're expecting to represent with jiu-jitsu against boxing, against wrestling, against all the styles.
How old were you when you had your first match like that?
My first professional was 19.
19.
Fight King Zulu with 120 fights and 4 draws only, 120 victories.
He was a big guy, too.
Yeah, about 210, 220, and about, he was a big guy.
How much do you weigh at the time?
174.
Those matches are still available online. People can watch them.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I think so, yeah.
Is it wild looking back at 19-year-old you fighting Zulu?
Was maybe the biggest experience in my life, because at this point I felt like I was good, I was able to fight well, but I didn't have the experience. So, and then one day I get home, I saw my father talking with his Zulu's manager in Brasilia, the capital. And the guy tried to invite somebody of my father's team to fight Zulu. And my father was saying, no, I don't have nobody. We don't fight Vale Tudo for so long. Nobody's training for. And I get the idea, said, hey, Dad, pull me in. So I immediately asked him to, and he looked at me, and he mentioned to the Valdemar Santana, said, yes, but I have my son here, 19 years old, he want to try. And the guy said, no, Master Gracie, this is not a fight for him to try. The guy is very tough and this and that. As the guy tried to pull my father off the deal, my father becomes more excited no, but I think he's going to go handle the challenge, this and that. So he's become excited with the situation. So, and then we set up the fight. 1 month later, I was there to fight. And we start the fight. And he has a trade like a one move he does, which grab you with the hands between your legs and lift you up and throw you over back on the floor. And as he approached that, I moved back, block his shoulders, and hit him with the knee right on his face. It was the best knee I could possibly give in somebody. And I expect him to win the fight in that moment. But he just shook, he stood up, lifted his head, shook, spit a tooth, and started back ready again to go, you know. And then I felt like it was really serious, and the thing was much serious than I expect. And for the next 10 minutes, because it was 10 minutes rounds, for the end of the round, we just engage and fall on the ring and come back in and back and out, and a lot of commotion, a lot of strength. And in the end of the round, I kind of crawl into the corner. And I said to my dad, Dad, I quit. I cannot go anymore. I'm tired. And my dad not even listened to me. He said, hey, he's tired than you. He's worse. Now you're going to kick his ass, do this and that. I said, Dad, I'm serious, man. I'm dead. I cannot go. And then my brother Holtz threw me a bucket of ice and water in my head. I go, and then bing, the bell rings and I push in again. And like my dad said, I could beat the guy in 3 minutes because he was already tired, wasted too. So when I grabbed his back, he could not escape, and I put him to sleep. And then I confirmed my worst enemy was in my mind. My enemy was in my brain tell me I have to quit. So I decide, and that day, never heard my mind tell bad things to me anymore. So either I'm gonna die or I don't go. But if I go, I cannot say, oh, I think I had enough. I think it's time to... So this was the worst enemy I could have. And from that day on, I decided to either go to putting everything on it or don't go at all. So it was easier for me because I would start to deal with one enemy only, not two enemies, my mind and my opponent.
It's probably the most common thing that happens to fighters is they lose faith in themselves, or they start to look for a way out.
Yes.
To find food. How many people are equipped to live off the land? It's such a small amount.
Such a small amount. I also think about the anthropologists digging through that bone pile.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, why is it that when we do cross sections of these bones, they're so much more unhealthy than the cross sections of the bones from 4,000 years earlier?
I know.
Or late, you know? Yeah. Because I think that's...
Convenience,
yeah, man. We love our convenience.
Convenience is killing us.
Yeah. And I think there's a moment here. We had all these different walks of life come together and be like, oh my God, public lands matter. We had all these businesses come together and say public lands matter. I got to tell you, when I was chatting with our buddy Cam Haynes the other day, when I was about to be disconnected for a week, right? And I've been like eating and breathing this fight, this stupid lawsuit that came out last year. Then it's in the House. Oh my God. We get it pulled out of the House, thank God. Then it goes to the Senate. Oh my, Mike Lee introduces the damn thing in the Senate, sneaks his language in, blindsides everybody, and I got to get on a plane to go to the Arctic. And there's this little like bellwether moment where I make like a last Instagram post, last thing I can do, and I see Cameron Haynes is like, you guys, you got to get off your asses and call your senators. They're selling our public land. And the same day, Josh Smith from Montana Knife Company did it too. And I bring those two guys up as examples because they were also like on the mega train, right? They were like pro-Trump in through the election. They're representing the right side of the political spectrum. And when that moment happened, I did draw like a little breath of relief right there. I was like, okay.
And people that aren't afraid to criticize aspects of the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to say, yeah, we voted for this guy, but this part of the pie sucks. It's super important to us that this gets pulled out of here, and we're going to go to the mat for it. And I'm like, that is the thing, right? We have people who aren't so self-conscious that they're like, oh God, I said this thing a month ago. I can't come out and say what I really think right now, because that would kind of contradict what I said a month ago.
Right.
You know? And that gave me like, really, really made me feel good. I'm like, okay, things are starting to go our way now, because all the other people who were afraid to say the same thing were like, oh, thank God some other people with a big microphone came out and said it. So now I feel emboldened to stand up publicly for what I believe in.
It's such a terrible thing to be so trapped in the ideology of your party that you can't stand up for what's right. That's gross.
Yeah, man, and
so
it is
un-American.
And it's being promoted though too. Like, one of the things I feel when I go back to DC is there's a lot of people spending time on making sure, not that America is better, but that system persists. So the next generation of short little boat shoe, no sock wearing people can have jobs.
Yeah, those boat shoes. Yeah, it's gross. It's really gross, and it's prevalent. You know, it's been around for a long time. This weird system that we have. It's not effective. It's not good. It's not good for anybody, and it's all being fed by lobbyists and special interest groups, and they're all just, they want to keep it going. They want to keep the grift going.
But there's palpable frustration out there. Like, I feel it every day. A long time ago, you told me, you're like, dude, don't read the comment section. And you're 1,000% right. I can't say how right you are, but during this time of like, why aren't people clicking into this?
Right.
I was getting real depressed, like shaken, pissed, tears at times over feeling so underrepresented. And then when we started gaining momentum, I was like, okay, what the hell else can I do?